Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I can't hear anything. You've got something still soloed and muted. I can't hear any music.
I couldn't hear
The
anything
theme
either.
music's rolling. I'm gonna set it to go again because I can't hear nothing.
Okay. It must be mic 3 is the only other thing I had. Let me open
Look
it
at your
all up.
board. Something's muted or soloed.
I'm looking. I don't. Okay, hold on.
There we go.
Good morning. I think we're here. It's KCHW 102.7. We've got you on tap for our morning show on a Wednesday, and we're going to have an actual studio full of guests. Running a little late today. Mike threw us a curveball, didn't you, Mike?
Yeah, blame the big guy.
It is the big guy. I'm blaming the big guy.
Yeah.
All right, actually showing up in the studio, which I think we were totally unprepared for, but we're going to make it all work this morning. And both of our guests are coming into the studio, Michelle.
Yeah, I'm going to have a full house.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow, you better mask up.
Oh,
Too late.
I put my makeup on.
All right. Oh, that's not what I meant, but okay.
Well, when Michelle and I were talking, I think it's been 2 years since I've been in the studio.
I bet you it has.
So
Maybe
this is
even longer.
kind of a beta test to get the bugs worked out. I mean, you walk in here and I sit down at the computer, the screen, and everything looks different. So,
I don't even think the few times that we, thought COVID was going to be over and we tried to open things back up, I don't think you ever made it back into the studio.
No.
So
No.
it's been longer than 2 years.
Yeah, it's been quite a while. I mean,
2.5
it's
at
way
least.
more comfortable. I mean, the only weird thing right now is, of course, I have to watch you on YouTube.
Yeah.
And you're
You're going to get a delay, right?
Yeah, you're about a 10 or 15 second delay. So,
All right. But you can still see how beautiful I am, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah. You look like you combed your hair this morning,
I did.
and you got a little bit of a tan going. You been out at the beach?
No, I've got lots of free time here. All right, Mr. Mike Bentz, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Mike. Comes in every Wednesday, and as usual, Master Control, Michelle Williams. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
All right, guests today on the show, we've got Sharon Ludwig showing up in about 15 minutes, and I imagine she's going to talk about what's going on at the Twilo Center for the Arts. Is that a good guess on my part, Mike?
That's a really good guess. She actually sent me an email saying, "Hey, I need to get on. I got all these things going, and they're starting like next week."
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
And they are. I printed off the list that they've got, and they're booked through December. I can tell you that. They got if anybody says there's nothing to do in Chihuahua, just is living under a rock, or they're in Maine.
Or they're in Maine. Yeah.
All right.
And then we have Shelley.
And then at 8 o'clock, Shelley Stevens is going to be coming in. And this is a interview we were going to do a few weeks ago that got postponed because you got ill.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And so we'd set her up for this date, and Shelley's going to come in and talk about the rural tourism initiative that's going on in the Tri-County. And just visiting with Michelle, we definitely need to get the word out because it's not really hidden per se because it's been going on for a year, but now everything's coming together, and you're going to start seeing some tangible evidence of what's going on from that standpoint.
Awesome.
So pretty exciting initiative being sponsored by Ted up there. So.
All right. I hope you got all the questions lined up because I didn't see any in the email.
I don't think I sent you any questions, so I'm just going to see how good you are.
All right. We'll just wing it. I'm used to that.
Yeah. Well,
and in fact, that's the way I prefer to fly is by the seat of my pants.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, it's been a fairly long 2 weeks, so this is really kind of getting back in the saddle. I mean,
Okay.
And so I'm really pretty excited about coming back in the studio. Other than Michelle asked me to be here at 6:30 this morning, and then she was late.
Ooh.
So, but once we get the bugs worked out, then it'll be kind
I
of.
think I just saw her roll her eyes.
I have a lot further to go to get here than you do.
Oh, well, yeah. But see, yeah, I was told a long, long time ago, whenever you have a meeting, you always leave enough time for a flat tire.
Oh,
And then you're always on time.
I'd have to leave at like 5 o'clock.
Well, then you'd be on time.
Oh, no. I'm not leaving at 5 o'clock.
And there's a
And
lot
then,
to do in here.
You know, for me, I'd have to leave a lot earlier than that because I ain't changing it myself. I'm calling AAA.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you'd be here sometime next week.
Yeah.
All right. I imagine you have. Did you have any notes from the chamber that you wanted to share? You should probably tease about people making some donations. I'm sure you can use more.
Yeah.
Before our guest gets here. So let's do your nonprofit rundown. And since
Okay.
we got started a little late, I will forgo news headlines. And it's all depressing anyway, except one that really stood out this morning. And I am so proud of the current administration for doing this. It's one of those about time issues. So everybody's familiar with the relief package that came out. And one of the things in there was right before that was the tech industry where we're going to start making chips in America.
All right.
And the Biden administration has just passed, I don't know, an executive order that is going to bar advanced technical firms that are getting this money to upgrade our chip production. It's going to bar them from moving their factories to China. It's about time we did something like that.
Good.
So they can't take any of that business for China. It says for 10 years because they're not going to control what businesses do. But there's a 10-year moratorium. They cannot move any of this new chip production to China. So what a great thing that is for our country, because that seems like you think it's going good, and then they ship everything off to China. And if we haven't learned anything over the past few years, is there's way too much stuff being made over there for us,
All right.
including drugs.
Good.
So a good step there by the Biden administration. All right, just want to toss that out. And Mike, tell us about, I know you got stuff coming up, Boo Fest, Chamber Auction,
Man,
roll with it.
We got a lot of stuff going on. So I'll start with the Chamber. The Chamber auction's coming up on the 8th of October. And all the flyers are out. You can purchase your dinner tickets at the usual suspects, Acres and Valley Drug and the Chamber office and the Independent. You can either get chicken, I think, or some kind of a beef thing. The auction will both be a live auction and a silent auction. And so, that's always fun. And I can never remember the guy's name, but it's the auctioneer that's also the comedian.
Steve,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they were able to snare him again this year, and he's just funny. I mean, he's good at picking on people like you are.
All right.
So the City Sidewalks is coming up on the 3rd of December, and I was in a Creative District meeting last night, and it's going to be a collaboration this year of the Chamber, the Creative District, and the Farmers Market. So basically all three are going to take over downtown and make it an all-day affair. Just based on some preliminary stuff last night I saw, it's going to be really a fun time. Then, of course, we have the firefighters, Wildlife Firefighters Foundation coming up, the Olympics on the 1st of October. And Michelle's way more versed in that than I am, but I do know that every place I go around town, there's a boot.
Yay!
And I actually looked in one at Washington Federal Bank the other day and said, I wonder if people are helping. Believe me, they're helping.
Good. Excellent.
Right.
Yeah, really. So don't be afraid to throw a little cash in the boot. And then I think they'll take sponsorships from everybody. So you can go on the and I think Michelle or somebody sent me the actual application. And maybe we can get that out so people can go direct and do the application. You basically sponsor a team from anywhere from, I think it's $20 to $60. And really what it does is helps defray costs for people to come and do that type of thing for the Olympics. The fall festivals up and running. I've seen Michelle twice in the last week, and she still looks like she's sane, although in a week from now I'm not quite sure that'll happen. But she's the chief ramrod on that, her and Justin Tram. So more to come on that. Just to remind people, the Forest Service is still in the Chamber office every Tuesday from 10 to 3, so stop by and see Eric. Let's see, from a Chamber perspective, I think I've got that pretty well nailed down. Oh, Boo Fest on the 28th. And there again, Michelle's going to be in charge of Boo Fest this year with Brandon Hansen, her senior advisor.
Yes.
And that's always a good time in itself too. So yeah, lots of good things happening from the chamber's perspective. Move on a little bit to the Creative District. The first Thursday is actually tomorrow because of Labor Day. First Thursday moved to the second Thursday. It has for the last several years, just because it's not a good thing to do things on Thursday before Labor Day. Nobody's around.
Yeah.
And all the usual businesses are participating: the McCunn Gallery, the Yale Press, the Spotlight Gallery, which is the Creative District, and the Aaron Huff Cultural Center. Tim at Trails End Gallery. And I hate to say this, but I think I'm missing somebody. It'll probably pop to me somewhere in the next hour. I was downtown last night at a meeting, and Tim was resetting his whole store last night for it. I know the Creative District has their people coming tonight, actually, to Quartzsite Brewery to do the actual artist talk that they do the Wednesday before the first Thursday. All four artists that we're sponsoring are going to be there for the artist talk this evening. So I think that'll be a really good time. And then tomorrow, the weather's supposed to be beautiful. So it's going to be one of those 70-degree evenings in Chihuahua that we get, as Brandon posted earlier today, about 2 weeks out of the year at sunshine.
Right.
So it's going to be a phenomenal time as far as that goes. The Christmas fair, that's tied into the city sidewalks on 12/3 is coming up. Let's see. I'm kind of moving fast here because, I want to get Sharon should be here pretty quick. Public events, Downtown Strategy is still happening. There was no meeting this week because of Labor Day, but there'll be a meeting next Monday, so that'll start pulling together. And the Taste of Chihuahua from the Arts Guild is coming up in September too, on the 29th. That's only 250 tickets are available for that, so they've got to be sure to there again stop by the usual suspects and pick them up. That's always a good time because the restaurants do something a little bit creative, and the public can stop by and visit, and it's a great fundraiser actually for the Arts Guild, and I believe they have a silent auction that goes with it too. And let's see, the golf course. The course is in as good a shape now as it normally would be in like June, July. The weather has been perfect this year, where you get these rains and then sunshine and rains and sunshine. So when you look out, I know when I look out on the course that's next to, or part of the course that's by my house, Scott, you wouldn't believe there's no brown spots.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
And
nice.
this time of the year, even with, we have a pretty robust irrigation system, there's spots where because of the sandy soil, you just can't keep it green. And, it's phenomenal. We're not overwatering, we're not doing it. That's just Mother Nature's worked to our benefit. And even though we have some fires around us, so far the smoke has been really handleable. The fires, the wind seems to be blowing the right direction every time at this point in time. So the golf course is up and running, and keep in mind it's a dawn to dusk type thing, so the days are shortening. And so like this morning was the first morning I came by, and there was dew out there, and they can't have golf carts out on there until the dew is gone because it tracks the grass, that type of thing. And so my guess is probably 6:30 or 7 is they're going to shut that down. But the patio is still open at the Rusty Putter. And not only are they open, but when we redid all the furniture out there and the umbrellas, all the umbrellas have solar lighting. So even though it gets dark outside, you can still see, which is phenomenal in itself.
I bet that looks really nice.
It does. It really does. If you follow the Facebook page, Tiffany Cox has done a great job this year. We decided to fire Mike Bentz because, he knows enough to be dangerous about digital media, which is true. And so we contracted with Tiffany, and she's doing a phenomenal job as far as the social media for the golf course and the Rusty Putter. The Lions Romp and Roar is coming up in a week from this Saturday. And that's always a good time. One of these days, we're going to get Scott out there sitting on a toilet trying to hit the golf ball. Wouldn't that be a great post for KCHW?
Right. You're going to make
It's
the
not going
trip
to work very well. I'm so short, and the stick would be so tall, and I'd be sitting. No, it's not a good idea.
But it is. It's a great time. You got to call you either get a hold of the Lions or get a hold of the clubhouse at 935-6807, extension 1, and get registered for that. And it's actually a great fundraiser for them. So I'm really kind of going down my list really fast here. I'm sure I missed something. Because there's just too much going on. Well, I don't know if there's ever say one of them be too much. But you know what's really healthy is last night I got done with my meeting at 7 o'clock at Fired Up Pizza, and I walked outside, and there were still cars in the streets parked and people walking down the sidewalks. Mm-hmm. Now, part of that's a factor of weather, but I think part of that's a factor of being more aggressive in telling people, hey, we're open for business downtown, you know, that type of thing. And to me, that's really, really, really healthy. Mm-hmm. So from that,
let's give another tease though for the chamber for people to donate items.
Oh yeah, on the chamber side, thank you. You can get a hold of Peony at 935-8595, and we're looking for chamber donation items, both live stuff and silent auction type items.
And that can be smaller stuff too. If somebody's never been to that, or it's a new business in town, or somebody that's new to town that does crafts, those can be smaller items of really any price range, because it's a silent auction. People come by and bid on the piece of paper and kind of get into a competition, for what people want.
Yeah.
And remember, folks, you don't go to things like this expecting. Sometimes you get the bargain when there's an auction, but sometimes you don't, and don't go looking for the bargain, because we're looking for support is what we're doing. This is a fundraiser, and it's their biggest and pretty much only fundraiser for the year for the chamber. So getting out and supporting this and helping with donations is a very, very big thing. Chamber does so much for the city and for tourism that benefit groups and businesses and people throughout the city of Chewelah. So support your local chamber with a donation. Even if you just make wicker baskets, donate a nice basket. Yeah. Maybe you can put some stuff in it.
And they actually will sometimes package things so that when you're bidding on something, it might be the wicker basket, but maybe there's a couple bottles of wine and some cheese in there, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And I know that this is the first live auction, I think, and this will be third year. So, we're really looking forward to that. And the dinner's always fun. And then, the desserts at the dinner, basically the tables bid for the desserts. And I think you were giving Stephanie a bad time a couple weeks ago about $800 pies and cakes and stuff like that. But that really goes back to exactly what you just said. It's a fundraiser to work with the chamber as far as being able to do things on the touristic side. And touristic, is that a good word?
I think it's a new word for sure.
Yeah, I kind of like that word.
I like it.
What do you think, Sharon? Is that a good word?
Like it is.
Touristic.
You just came up with a new catchword.
Yeah, okay, all right. So we let touristic in itself. Anyway, I like making up words, especially Loretta accuses me of that all the time when I'm singing to the radio. I don't know the words, so I just make up my own.
Nice. I want to hear some of that.
Yeah, well.
Off air.
Off air? Okay. All right. Okay. Exactly. But I think that's it as far as the roundup goes. I'm kind of going down through my list because I have my cheat sheet. The older you get, the shorter your mind span is, I think. And so if I don't write it down, it doesn't get done.
So I think in September on the 17th, we also have that film event.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's, I think, Sharon, I looked at I was telling them earlier, I looked at the list on PACA and brought it.
Yeah.
And Chewelah Center for the Arts is going to be pretty busy over the next 4 months.
Yeah. Yeah. We're excited.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That's really awesome. Lots and lots to
right.
do.
Well, let's transition into Sharon then, and I'm going to do that. We forgot the weather this morning, so real quick, 88 today, mix of clouds and sun, down to 50 tonight with clear skies. Weather is taking a break on you guys, finally. Thursday, 78 and sunny. Friday, 79 and sunny. Now, for the weekend, you've got temperatures back in the 80s, and Monday as well. Let's see, Saturday, 84, Sunday, 88, Monday, 86, and then you're transitioning to fall. I don't see a temperature above 80 looking ahead the next 10 days after the weekend. So I think you guys made it, and hopefully those cooler temperatures will help with the fire problems too.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now
So,
she is one of my
I have
favorite people in Chihuahua. Back to the studios. Welcome to the studios. I wish I was there. It's the beautiful Sharon Ludwig. How you doing today, Sharon?
I am doing wonderful, but I want to ask, what are the lows coming up? I want to know when to start covering my garden.
You want when to start covering your garden? Well, I never trust the lows when they come from the weather forecast because Chihuahua always seems to be 3 to 5 degrees cooler than what they project.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Thursday 48, Friday 44, Saturday 46, Sunday 53. When you get to I'll jump ahead to say the middle of the month, the 15th and the 16th. Overnight lows looking around 45. So I think you're still okay.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good.
All right.
I think I saw one for Tuesday of next week that was pretty low.
Really?
Yeah, and I watched too because I'm up in Loon Lake, so I'm a good 10 to 12 degrees cooler than town.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've got
Actually, Friday night it says 44 in Chihuahua, and then after that it looks right around 50 for about 5 days.
Okay.
Good.
Well,
Good.
to prove that winter is coming, I was in Montana last week. That's actually this time. And one morning we got up and it was 34 degrees and it was snowing.
Ooh.
And we were relatively low. I mean, we were up in the mountains but on a lake, but I went outside and it wasn't sticking, of course. But I'm thinking, this is a heck of a vacation.
Yeah.
Welcome to Montana. I don't know why people live there.
Well, in Montana can go from 80 degrees one day to 35 the next day.
Right.
It's just
Exactly.
crazy.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah. In fact, they have the record for the largest temperature swing any one day, and it's 106 degrees.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Must have happened in Butte because that's just a horrible place.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I got a lot of
betting it
relatives.
did.
I got
I'm
a lot of
betting it did.
relatives in Montana, but
Yeah.
they're great. It's a great place to visit.
Right. Right.
I think if they're going to
beautiful
train
there, but-
people to go to Mars, they should probably do it in Butte.
Butte
'cause
would be a good one. Yeah,
it's-
yeah. No, I would agree with that. Yeah,
That's funny.
I've been there way too many times. No, so
Okay.
All right, Sharon, it's been so long since we had you on the radio. How are you doing? And Gino?
We're doing fine. Yeah, Scott, it's so good to see you. I listen to you almost every morning, and it's like you're right here. I like to reach out and hug you, but
Oh, all right. Radio hug. There you go. Coming at you.
hit that mute really quick.
All right. So, Chihuahua Center for the Arts, you guys have been rolling out a lot of events. And Mike was telling me this morning you've got a whole slate coming up. And I'm guessing that's what you're here to talk about.
That's right. This coming Saturday, we have a Park Avenue Players reunion. And so anybody who's ever been part of Park Avenue Players, whether they're actors, directors, even the refreshment concessions people, the sound, lights, we're just doing a big reunion. Or we're inviting people who would like to be part of Park Avenue to come and have the reunion with us. We are... Well, Debbie, one of our board members, is taking clips from past shows, and I got to look at a lot of shows, and it was so fun seeing people that we no longer have with us, that whether they've moved or they've passed away, and listening to people and watching Bud Evans make a fool of himself, watching George Ebert do all kinds of things, and just all kinds of people that have been on our shows. And Debbie's taking clips from different shows, and we'll have that to show. And we're asking people if they have pictures, scrapbooks, whatever, memories to bring them with them and share. It's just going to be a sharing night, and it's going to be a fun night.
So being relatively new to Chihuahua, how long has Park Players been around?
Well, since I knew this at one time.
Okay.
It's been that long. It's been that long.
Okay.
It seems like it was in the early 70s.
Okay.
But community theater has been around. Gino can remember it when he was a kid going to school here, and Gino was born here. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, so they had a community theater a long time ago, and then there was kind of a break for a while, and then Liz Riley moved to town, and she started
Oh,
it
my
up again.
Okay.
I wonder if his family has any pictures from back then.
Probably not. They weren't those kind of people to go
Yeah.
to things.
Oh.
Yeah, they were.
Even just of the town, you know, the setting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That'd be really neat to see.
Yeah, yeah, and he's pretty good at all that. He works at the museum every Saturday, and people come in, and he just knows all kinds of things about Chihuahua, and he has
That's so neat.
lots of people contact him about stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so the Saturday night, September 10th, from 6 o'clock till 10, or however long people stay, a potluck, bring pictures, scrapbooks, memories. Costumes are optional, and it's a free event. So we're excited about that. Then next week, the September 14th, Stage Time Theater School starts. And that's Wednesday, and it starts right after school. The kids come, and it starts at 3:15 for those who aren't in school here. You know, I mean, they bring them like from the Homelink and things like that. Classes will be every Wednesday until the performances, which are the second weekend in December, December 9, 10, 11. They are doing Frozen Junior. The kids are really excited.
Oh.
Yeah. And then they will have rehearsals on Tuesdays and Thursdays, depending on what scenes you're in. They'll give them a rehearsal schedule and everything. And it does cost. It's $65 for the tuition which is a remarkable for Chihuahua to have 3 months worth of classes, all the wonderful instruction you get and all the knowledge you get. I looked up some in Spokane. They had a 1-week class this summer for $250.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't doubt it at all.
So it's just really exciting and Janet is just an absolutely wonderful.
She is wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. So,
So we have Salish Days coming up.
yes, we do. And that is, we haven't really publicized that because it's just with the school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
right.
they invite all the area schools, and we have anywhere from 300 to 500 kids usually there.
Oh, wow.
Some years we have 3rd and 4th graders. This year I think we're just having 3rd graders, or maybe it's 5th graders. I don't know. All these little kids come, and it's so cute, and it's so fun, you know, and they'll start them out with a powwow in the park, and then they'll divide them into groups, and one group will go to the museum and see Native American artifacts there.
Nice.
One group will come into the Center for the Arts, and they will have a presenter there that usually has a slideshow and shows them some history type things. And one group will go over to the Indian Agency. And this year, Gino and Don McLaughlin will be doing a question and answer. Don will be dressed up as, I think it's an Indian agent. I'm not sure who he is.
I don't think it'll be Dawn.
Don McLaughlin, not McLaughlin, McConnell.
Thank you.
Yeah, I said the wrong name, didn't I?
We wish it was Dawn.
Oh,
but
we do wish it was.
we
Yeah.
lost our Dawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And that's why you said that, is because he was so instrumental and so enthusiastic about everything to do with the agency house.
Oh yeah,
And
that was
he
his.
did a lot of work on that.
Yep,
so
that was his.
I think
second
that's why that
baby.
name popped into your head.
I think so too.
So
Yeah.
is this kids from neighboring school districts and
Yeah.
stuff like that coming in?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Chihuahua,
really
Will
neat.
Pennant, Summit Valley, all of the neighboring schools have been invited, and
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, and they bus them in, and then they spend the day, and
And then what day is that going to be on?
I don't know.
Oh.
It's a Thursday.
Yeah.
But-
And,
You said the
and my
14th?
and my printer cut it off.
Oh. Well, if you,
Oh, September 22nd.
22nd.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Now you kind of skipped ahead on her and probably her list of what's going on at the center.
Right.
Joe's got something happening on the 17th, right? We had him on a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, that's going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward to that. That's a regional film and television industry informational seminar, and he's got directors and voiceover people and different people from Spokane coming up to present classes. And if there's enough people, they'll divide them into groups. If there aren't enough, they'll just all be together. But I know there's at least 4 different sessions on how to get into the film industry in this area. You know.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of talk about major components of the film industry in California, taking a look at the Garland district in Spokane for a possible move up into the Pacific Northwest, just because the geographical layout and the elements, you know, whether you have mountain ranges, plains, desert, like it's all right there. So if you want to shoot movies in different geographical types, it's not that far to travel to make that happen. So they're really looking at Washington in particular for a move of the film industry out of California, which is
it
really...
worked out. Yeah, that all worked out really well for Z Nation because they would be in different parts of the country, but it was all filmed right around Spokane.
Yeah. Well, and there's talk of a big film studio being built down there, too.
Yeah.
And I don't know how...
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. They were looking at putting a big soundstage in out by the airport. I don't know where that's at, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll I'll go back and look at my records and see if we can find out who to talk to.
Yeah.
But it was like a 10,000 square foot soundstage. It was a big initiative.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was part of the COVID thing, and so they were getting funding from here and funding from there. But I'll put that on my radar. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay.
And see if I can run down.
I'm really excited to check out that
Right.
film
Yeah.
seminar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All my kids have been like my oldest daughters were in acting with Janet, sorry, and then my younger ones were down in the Valley School Productions.
Oh, with Teresa?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
she's
they've-
good, too.
Yeah, and so they've all just got that, you know, wanderlust for acting. So to get them lined up with some people that could do some stuff would be kind of cool.
Yeah, and on that Saturday, the 17th, it's from 1 to 4. It's a free event. Doors will open at 12:30. There'll be question and answer time afterwards.
And that's at the Civic Center, right?
No, it's at
Oh.
our Chihuahua Center for the Arts.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked because I
So,
went to the wrong place.
So if you're an aspiring actor, film producer, script writer, grip, whatever, show
Yeah,
up, right?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the, I'm looking at my list here, and we have an I'll get it out, author talk coming up in October. And then I looked at Nothing Lose Productions.
Yep.
And I'll let you, I don't know if you have that in front of you or not, but man, I mean, you got something in October, something going in November, and something going December. You're back in business.
Oh, yeah, we are. We're so excited. Yeah. The Nothing to Lose is putting on the Marvelous Wonderettes, and I've been listening to them rehearse, and they're singing a lot of songs. Lollipop, lollipop. you know?
Okay, thanks. That'll be in my head now for the rest of the day.
And it's, and we have our, let's see, there's Jessica Setti and Melissa Curie and Tiffany Warren and not Kaylee, that's not her name, Tilla. Yeah, Kaylee Tilla. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, and they were in Beehive together. So
okay.
if you saw Beehive, and they're in this one, and they're going to do a great job. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah. And
What
then
else you got lined up, Sharon, real quick?
well, we've got other things coming, but it's too far out. You just got to
Okay.
keep watching. One thing that we have in this community is we have this radio station that puts stuff on, and we have our newspaper. And so if you don't subscribe to the Chihuahua newspaper, shame on you. Because you should, and they are so good at putting the things that are happening. You just let them know, and they are so good at
Right.
working with you for ads and for newspaper articles, and I just love our newspaper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really good.
Yeah.
They're a
They've been
staple.
so good to public radio
Oh, yeah.
since we started. Jared and Andrea have been awesome.
Yeah.
When I
And Brandon.
when
And
I-
Brandon.
and Brandon. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to give Brandon here credit here.
Yeah.
Because he's listening. He likes to be patted on the back.
Yeah.
Well, I've got one last question for you, Sharon, and that would be, where is our, I remember the 3-phase plan, and I know you were looking to the stucco project. Where are you guys at as far as finishing up phase 1, things that you might need, or fundraisers you have coming up?
Well, we're really hesitant to ask for a lot more money till you can see the stucco on the wall. We have the money. We can't get the workers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Tom Bristol is trying hard to get somebody. we're hoping that there's something that might be in the works that we might be able to do.
Is that like a seasonal thing? Like if you don't get it started or get it at least...
It could be, but everybody's so busy and construction is so,
Right.
that they're just so lined up that it's very difficult to.
Yeah. It's pretty common to hear people say, "Yeah, I'd love to do your job, but I'm 2 years out."
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know, and that's
gosh.
so foreign from like
I mean,
4 years ago. And
right.
how much can I get this job for so I can go to work tomorrow?
It's kind of
So-
comforting though. Like if you look at the way the last 2 years have been, to have that like little anchor of stability. Like I've got work for the next 2 years.
Right.
Like that's really good, and it shows a good sign of like economic health for our area for at least a little bit into the future.
Right.
But yeah, I can understand how it'd be frustrating.
Well, and
Yeah.
it really helps out the arts because I know, like at the golf course, I saw the report up there, and we've got 23 homes right now being built at one stage or another,
Oh, that's
and
phenomenal.
another 11
Yeah.
that are in the design phase. That's all, generally speaking, those are all new people moving to the area, and that helps the arts a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And frankly, it helps for fundraising when they get to know it too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it expands your base, and one of the things that's always impressed me, and actually one of the reasons I'm involved with the Creative District, is when people tell you there's nothing to do in Chewelah, they're living under a rock.
Right.
Or I don't know where I get this information. Well, you have the Independent, you have the radio station, you've got the websites of the Chewelah Center for the Arts and the Creative District and the Arts Guild. You've got, I don't know what else to do. I know somebody said the other day, I saw a thing on a feed for the Creative District saying, well, we need an electronic board out on the road. Well, that's been in the works for a long time, but I think what a lot of people don't know is that's a minimum of $40,000.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah,
Not
and
to
if
mention
it's
you
not-
have to lease the space.
And if it's not done right, it could just be tacky.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that having something like that, like as you come into town, maybe, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Or even maybe from the Colville side coming in that way, maybe something like that by the football stadium or something like that,
Yeah.
in that area. But I don't know, I really kind of think that too much signage is not going to be helpful to what we're trying to achieve either.
Right.
Yeah. We found the same thing. We'd like to have a marquee, and I was blown
Yeah.
away with how much they cost.
Yeah, it gets right up there really quick.
Right.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but, just looking through, I know, Sharon kind of strong-armed me and said, I want to go live.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Well, you can get a hold of me anytime you come on.
so I figured, been dragging our feet. So thank you, Sharon, for making us go live. And we're working out some bugs, because we haven't been in the studio for 2 years.
Oh,
Or more
yeah.
than 2 years. Scott thinks it's
Yeah.
been more than 2
I was
years.
telling,
Yeah.
It has been more than
Yeah.
been more than 2 years since we had people in there.
Right.
We tried to reopen at one point about year and a half through COVID, and then quickly we had another outbreak.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So we put a stop to that. And I remember one time we opened up, and then a couple of the DJs got sick, and there was some scares there, and David
Yeah.
Govadir had come through, and he had COVID right then or right after it. So it was just kind of safer for everybody just to keep it closed down rather than being close quarters like
Yeah.
that.
Well, you always have to have that pioneer that pushes the envelope.
Well,
You
we have 2 dogs at our house that bark a lot, and I didn't want them in the background if I was zooming.
Right. Right.
Okay. Well, sometimes you're just too comfortable for Zoom.
Yeah, I was telling Mike this morning because I had to set up the extra cameras and set up the application on here to bring the picture from the other camera on. And I'd never done that by myself before, and I got it figured out. I was like, anytime I can figure something out without having to ask Scott how to do it, I feel pretty proud of myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
The worst
yeah.
part about all this is I'm not there to get a hug from Sharon.
He's going to be thinking about that all
Okay,
day.
virtual
I
hug.
know,
Virtual
so
hug.
sad.
Yeah.
All right, any words of wisdom to close with, Sharon, before we go to break?
No. Well, yeah, I do. Get involved with something you love, and then it won't be hard. You know,
Right.
there's so much to get involved with in Chewelah. Just get involved with something you love. Everybody should
Right.
be involved.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
rewarding.
Yeah, it is.
You could live in a town like I moved to where there's literally nothing going on. There's no theater group to go volunteer with. There's no nothing. So be thankful you live in such a vibrant community and get out there and support it, whether you're attending a dinner at an auction or going to a play. There you go.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much. Round of applause for Sharon Ludwig. Thank you for coming in this morning and sharing what's going on at the Chihuahua Center for the Arts. There you go. Big round of applause for you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and we're heading off to break. When we come back, we're going to have Shelley Stevens from the Tri-County Economic Development District, and she's going to be talking about rural tourism. Stay with us. It's your morning show on Northern Lights Public Radio, KCHW 102.7.
Shelley.
I'm not sure if it's still.
It's 8:07.
You're listening to Northern Lights Public Radio on 102.7 KCHW, Chihuahua, Springdale, Welpinit.
It's 8:07.
Your KCHW morning show, made possible by a donation from God-Fearing Brothers Auto Center. God-Fearing Brothers specializes in auto services, including repair, maintenance, and detailing. They also stock a full selection of tires, make glass repairs, offer towing, and have an auto sales lot on the corner of Highway 395 and Main Street at the light. For more information, you can visit the Auto Service Center at 806 East Main in Chihuahua. Find them online at godfearingbrothers.com or by phone at 509-935-6414. KCHW FM thanks God-Fearing Brothers for supporting public radio in Stevens County.
This is KCHW, Chihuahua, 102.7 FM.
You're listening to 102.7 KCHW, Chihuahua.
The Public News Service Joey Newscast, September the 7th, 2022. I'm Mike Clifford. Now that California lawmakers approved a plan to reach net zero emissions by 2045, experts are calling for a renewable energy source to be reevaluated.
Woody biomass is under fire in California as opponents argue it's not a clean-burning energy source, more akin to coal since it burns carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Dr. Shay Wolf with the Center for Biological Diversity says there are plenty of misconceptions about woody biomass's positive aspects. One such myth is that it's good for thinning forests to prevent wildfires.
Thinning forests isn't an effective way to reduce wildfire risk. It, in fact, can even make fires burn hotter and faster, and that's not surprising because many larger fire-resistant trees are cut during thinning operations.
According to a 2021 report from the Center for Biological Diversity, woody biomass can be twice as harmful since it emits more carbon from power plant smokestacks while leaving less carbon stored in forests. Massachusetts recently became the first state to remove woody biomass from its renewable energy portfolio standard as part of a new climate law. I'm Edwin J. Vieira.
According to 2021 California data, that source contributes less than 3% to the state's electrical grid. More American women are being elected to public office. There's a mixed outlook in North Dakota, but women have a strong presence in local election administration. In most of North Dakota, county auditors are elected to 4-year terms. They juggle multiple duties, including being the chief elections officer. With the exception of 2 counties, all these offices in North Dakota are held by women. And Cavalier County Auditor Lisa Gilner says it's been this way for a while.
The hardest part of the job is the amount of work that you have to get done in such a small window. And all the while you're trying to accomplish an election and keep it all rolling, you still have all the rest of your job that you got to try to keep moving at the same time.
Auditors also oversee county finances. At the national level, more than 30% of state legislatures are comprised of women. That percentage has grown steadily in the last 40 years. At the same time, North Dakota is among the bottom 10 states at 22%. Now from CNN, a Republican county official in Georgia escorted 2 operatives working with an attorney for former President Trump into the county election offices the same day a voting system there was breached. That from newly obtained video. CNN reports the breach now under investigation by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and is of interest to the Fulton County District Attorney. This is PNS. Small kids are landing in the hospital because of accidental poisoning from ingesting medications meant for adults.
Experts are working to give households the tools they need to keep kids out of medicines that could potentially harm them. Tanya Jerrigan is a licensed clinical social worker with the Division of Pediatric Forensic Medicine at the University of Kentucky. She says it's not just illicit substances kids can get their hands on, and points to cases where kids accidentally consumed medications meant for their grandparents or caregivers.
We see ingestions related to over-the-counter medications like Tylenol. Another really common medication that we see is clonidine. So it's definitely a wide-reaching problem.
Accidental poisonings account for around 2% of all unintentional injury deaths in the state, according to the state's 2021 Child Fatality Review Report. Find more information and tips at faceatabuse.org/safe medications storage. Nadia Ramlagan reporting.
School districts across the state of New York are facing a shortage of social workers, according to an audit by the State Controller's Office. New York City schools are not providing enough social workers per school. More than 400 schools are without social workers, and most of the schools with at least one social worker do not meet the recommended ratio of one social worker to every 250 students. Martha Schultz is with the New York chapter of the National Association of Social Workers.
That stems from kind of this misunderstanding or lack of understanding or desire to learn about really what is social work and what can they offer. In schools, there's been a push for every building to have a school social worker, but that doesn't necessarily mean that school leadership or even the school board knows what a social worker does at a school. They just know that they have to have one.
Schultz says another part of this is a pipeline issue where many rural colleges and universities do not offer graduate-level social work programs. Finally, Mike Bowen lets us know this week is National Suicide Prevention Week. Indiana advocates are pushing for stricter gun laws.
In Indiana, there were 101 firearm-related suicides recorded by the Gun Violence Archive between 2020 and 2022. More than half were either murder-suicides or attempted murder-suicides. Jerry King of the group Hoosiers Concerned About Gun Violence says that means too many people are caught up in volatile situations with deadly outcomes.
If you have an angry partner who can quickly grab a gun in the heat of passion, that's just as dangerous and as lethal as can be.
The group questions a state law allowing someone convicted of domestic violence to petition to have their gun ownership right restored 5 years later.
This is Mike Clifford for Public News Service, member and listener supported. Heard on interesting radio stations, your favorite podcast platform. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
And we're back. It's KCHW Chihuahua 102.7 FM, looking at 8:15. And if you're watching online, you can see that Sharon Ludwig magically transformed into Shelley Stevens.
Oh my gosh, she like Houdini'd. I was actually going to tell her to forward flyers for her upcoming events to me, and I turned around and it was like she disappeared into nothingness. She just was poof.
Yeah, poof.
She moves so fast.
Yeah, well, you know, Shelley, the lighting in here is mood lighting. You're blue.
Right.
Yes.
I can change your color if you like.
Blue is one of my colors.
Oh, okay.
Needs a little orange, though. She kind of looks like a ghost in the back.
Oh, that's good.
So the
How's that
ghost
better?
of Shelley Stevens is here. Actually,
There you
that's
go.
better.
There you go. Now she's got some color. All right, welcome back to the studio, Shelley.
Hello. Man, it's been forever since I've been in this room. So this is cool.
Yeah, I walked in this morning, and Michelle's been in here working hard, but there still were cobweb spiders.
Well, I'm short. I can't get all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm going to need a little more microphone on Shelley, too, and Shelley, make sure you're
maybe get a little closer.
How's this? Testing.
That's better.
Testing.
All right, before we get started with your interview, I'd say the honoriest person in your office has sent me some questions to ask you.
Oh, he will die at dawn.
Oh, infamous. I knew it.
The infamous Brandon Hansen.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks, Brandon.
Question number 1, he says, I should ask Shelley who the best ping pong player in the office is.
That would be me. No, that's debatable.
So you guys have, for recreation time, you have a ping pong table at the office at TED?
We did during the COVID times when we had downtime. We'd go back there and burn off some steam, but no longer.
Okay.
They actually have to go to work now.
Yeah.
All right. His next question says, where do I store all my office snacks, and how many snacks does he have? That's Brandon.
Well, I cannot answer that, but I can say that for the last 2 years, the office has got together, and for Brandon's birthday, filled a shopping cart size container with junk food just for him, because we knew that was. Yeah.
Now, if that's not support.
All right. Question number 3. What, Shelley, is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, Brandon. I'm not even going to say.
Well, I just heard Brandon.
That's what I was thinking. It's Brandon Hansen. Excellent.
Yeah. Yes, that is a
Strangely,
good
that's my
answer,
biggest pet peeve with Chuila, too. All right. And then he says also, who is the weirdest person in the office? And, okay, I'll stop there. 2 more questions. Next one is, who is the weirdest person in the office?
I can't. None of us. There's no weirdness.
They're all perfect.
Yeah. No.
Correct answer then would be Brandon.
You're right. Okay, that'll be the default. Yes.
Well, Brandon.
Will be the default.
All right, and his last question I'm supposed to ask you is, what do you think about Teslas?
I'll defer that to question to Frank Metlow, our district planner, who happens to have one.
He does?
Yes.
Oh, wait till I see Frank.
Yeah, give him a hard time.
Okay.
Well, I have gleaned nothing from those questions.
I'm
Thanks
sorry.
a lot, Brandon.
Well, I did. Frank's got a Tesla. Brandon's the weird one in there.
And he has lots of snack
He
foods.
survives on snack food.
And he's her biggest pet peeve.
Her biggest pet peeve, yeah.
Pretty much.
Hey, I guess I got a lot out of that.
You got a lot out of it, yeah.
He's a popular guy.
Oh, so anyway, I thought we'd start out with, it'd been a while since Shelley's been here. Actually, we couldn't even figure out what year it was. So, and maybe, what is Tri-County Economic Development District? Did I get that right?
You did.
Or more affectionately known as?
TED.
TED.
With 2 Ds, of course. So I'll try to nutshell it, because TED does lots of things, but we serve Ferry, Stevens, and Pondere counties, and we are the kind of federally recognized economic development district. We're a special district. We take care of what's called the CEDS, the Community Economic Development Strategy, so we do lots of economic development things, but we also operate a rural loan fund, the Rural Opportunities Loan Fund for small businesses. We are the regional transportation planning organization for Northeast Washington. Brandon does economic development. I market the region. So we do lots of, and other things. We do lots of stuff.
Right, and they're very active to begin with, and I became aware of them, I don't know, seems like forever now, probably 7-8 years ago. Been around quite a while, actually.
Well, TED has been around since 1969.
Really?
So there you
go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, and one of the reasons, or actually the reason I asked Shelley to be on today is Ted's been working on, or Shelley's been working on, a initiative called the Rural Tourism
Support Program
for the Tri-County. And I was, I guess honored to be accepted into the group that's starting putting that together.
Well, you were requested, not accepted.
Okay.
I asked you to do it.
She learned from Diane Evans,
yeah,
the voluntold
that's right.
thing.
Oh no, I'll never be as good as Diane.
Oh,
at that.
okay.
No, she's
Okay.
got that down.
But I'm going to let Shelley expand on it. But what I liked about it was putting together a cohesive plan for the Tri-County area and branding of the area, so everybody could kind of grab onto the same thing to talk about, but still maintain their individuality as far as what they were.
Yeah, that's one of the pieces that kind of came out of the process.
Yeah. So I think this process started about a year ago, maybe a little bit
about
longer.
a year. So the just super quickly, the Washington State for more than a decade was the only state in the entire country that did not have a state-funded tourism office. And so there was no funding to promote tourism of any kind on a statewide level. But now, recently, in the last 2 years, it is back on the legislative budget and is a thing. And so one of their first initiatives they're now called Washington State Tourism, of all things. I don't know how they came up with that. But so one of their first initiatives was a program called the Rural Tourism Support Program, and they invited any destination larger than a county in the state to apply to take part in this pilot program that would take the destination through a strategic planning process. And the goal would be, one of the outcomes would be, you'd have a 10-year vision of what you wanted tourism to look like in the future, and also 3 actionable projects that there would be grant funding to pursue. So TED applied for Northeast Washington as the destination, and guess what? They chose us. So we are the first to go through this process, and so part of that was forming a steering committee, and this is folks from all across Northeast Washington, all 3 counties, all different types of involvement as it relates to tourism. We had a really great steering committee, and we started meeting last November, I believe, and with the Kristen Dahl from Cross Current Collective, who was our facilitator, and she was the one that took us through this program. She had worked helping to develop Oregon's amazing tourism economy down there. She had done lots down there, so we were very excited to work with Kristen. And we had community workshops in all 3 counties where we invited the public to come and go through some exercises and to learn what the community wanted as far as tourism. Because one of the things we were keeping very front of mind was that this is about enhancing quality of life for the people that are already here and improving those, I'll say air quotes, tourism assets, but that the focus had to be on the people that were here, not bringing outside people in, because that never works, that backwards kind of tourism development. Then you end up with too many people and not enough infrastructure. And so we wanted to be very mindful of how tourism is going to go, and make it a community-driven effort. And with COVID, we saw such a huge increase in people visiting our public lands in particular. They were looking to get out and where it was safe to recreate. And so we have all of these new people new to outdoor rec. And of course, we have lots of outdoor rec here. That's one of our great assets. But we needed to kind of get ahead of that, because that will only grow. Now the word's kind of out about this, and this trend, all these new enthusiasts that want to enjoy the great outdoors will continue to come. So the community workshops, super important, and those ended up kind of identifying the 3 projects that we will now be focusing on. We've morphed the steering committee into what's called the Destination Development Team, or the DLT, as I like to say. And so that's kind of where we're at now. We have the 3 action teams formed on the 3 different projects, and now we'll start working on that and implementing those projects.
And I think what's impressive to me is it was really bottoms up driven, not top down driven as far as the whole process. And so I know the meeting that I participated in was in Chewelah here, and the breadth of the people in the room was really pretty impressive.
Yeah, all along. And a lot, and I thought, I kind of know most of the folks kind of that are in this realm, I guess, but we had so many new people come forward with all sorts of amazing skills and things to bring to the table to help this.
Yeah, and so these three teams that are put together, would you expand on what they are and then what the purpose is behind them?
Yeah. So the three action teams are going to implement the projects that we identified through the community workshop process. So those are, number one, improved online content. And I know that sounds kind of broad, and it kind of is, but it's super important for people planning trips and even people that are already here, how to get the information they need to recreate safely and responsibly, and to also enjoy all of our businesses and what the communities have to offer. So that's a biggie. And the other one, which kind of feeds into the improved online content, are and I can't remember who coined it. One of the steering committee members coined the vast and varied routes and itineraries. So we want to develop and curate a very robust, exciting list of different routes and itineraries that people can take advantage of when they visit here. Because tourists, visitors, they like to kind of be told, here, do this, it's awesome. So we want to provide that for them. So we have an action team working on the routes and itineraries. And then the third is guide and outfitters development. So we would like to see more opportunity for local people to become guides and outfitters and on our public lands. We really have very few, and there's a whole bunch of reasons for that, but we've got all sorts of public land management involved on this team, and it's not only is it going to be great for visitors, but it's also a opportunity for entrepreneurs, maybe some local folks that know the area and would take people fishing or hunting or kayaking or whatever. So that's an exciting one too.
Yeah, I think the first of all, the region's called the Ponderosa region.
According to the state of Washington.
According to the state of Washington,
and that includes Spokane.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we forget. What? But I think the theme that I kind of got out of it is say the golf course. We get somebody up here comes to golfing, and they stay in the RV park, and the next question we get is, what else is there to do? And so what I saw was really powerful out of this is the building of itineraries. So people could go in and say, okay, I got 4 days and I want to invest in Northeast Washington. What do I do? And then theme it. And so it comes back if I want to go kayaking or if I want to go fishing or whatever it happens to be.
Wine tasting.
It's one, yeah.
Beer tasting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, and that actually is a problem because when you get too many things, you don't know what to do next. And I thought about what Shelley just said, and you're absolutely right. People want to be told what to do, but they want to be able to customize what they're told what to do. That's kind of the way to look at it. And so, if you take a look at it, to me, you've got Ponderay County, Stevens County, and Ferry County. And I'm a little biased, but Stevens County's right up the middle. It's actually got the largest population base. It's got the greatest access, both north and south and east and west. And so it becomes more of, in my mind, and it is more of a focal point. And then the other thing, when you look at it, you had people involved like Eric Bakken at 49 Degrees North. You got the Kalispell tribe involved, the Colville tribes involved. You've got DNR. You've got the Forest Service, Park Service. And so a lot of these public agencies, at least from my perspective, that don't really talk to each other from a public standpoint, that are getting together and trying to figure out what the resources are. And not to make this short, at least up to this point, this is all being funded by the state, right?
Right. Well, the tourism support program, that was all. They funded everything. provided the facilitator and catering at the events and all of that type of thing. And so now each action team, each project, we are eligible to apply for some grant funding from State of WA Tourism. Not a ton of money, but enough to get things rolling. And that's the big thing, you know. At TED, we're always involved with plans and planning and strategies and things, but the problem is so often these plans and strategies they get put up on the shelf and never implemented.
Yeah.
And that's the tricky part. So now there's some funding to help implement these identified projects and see it through.
Well, and they're very tangible.
Mm-hmm,
you know, and to me, as soon as it becomes a tangible product effectively brought out, then it's going to be easier to sell it to the businesses and to the public and at large, and control that environment. I mean, you know, obviously, Michelle, we were talking a little bit earlier, and she brought up the Downtown Strategies Initiative for the city, and her feeling was it kind of the same thing, and it's really not. The TED is more of an umbrella type thing, and then Downtown Strategies for the city is going to fit into that maybe as one of the itineraries, or how do you develop that as part of one of the itineraries? I mean, or
Yes.
jumping off points, or you know, from that perspective.
So much of what this effort is doing will definitely plug right into what is happening here in Chewelah. That information is just going to be part of what they create, or can be part of it.
Right. Yeah, and I guess the nice thing about it is, even though there's some growth pains being the first one in the state, you're the first one in the state, and so it's a pilot program. So anytime I've been involved in the pilot program, there's more latitude for being creative, because they don't have the box built yet.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, the application for the grant funding has been edited many times, let's just say, before they came up with their final. And we are right now, we are the only eligible entity to even apply for these particular funds. So.
Yeah, and I know that the two grants that are on my desk right now, one of them is a technological grant, and the other one's a tourism
and
grant.
that is different. Those are also offered by State of Washington Tourism, but they don't have anything to do with the Rural Tourism Support Program. But we are still going after some of that funding too.
Right. Yeah. And I know I introduced to Michelle those last week, and you know, but to me, it's, you know, I looked at it, and I know one of the things at the golf course is, I think we do a pretty good job of getting people to the golf course overall. I mean, we spend a lot of effort in doing that, but when we get asked that question, is there a winery here, or is there a brewery here, or is, you know, I want to go fishing tomorrow afternoon, you know, how do I do that? What we're hoping to get out of this is basically just point and say, here you go.
Yeah.
You know, you know, and I think that's going to be, well, I personally know that's going to be very well received, because, you know, it's, as much as people like to golf, I mean, that's still only 5 hours out of your day.
Yeah, or maybe
you know,
only, if a couple's visiting, maybe only one half the couple golfs and the other that wants to go do something else or something.
Yeah, or they're looking for family-friendly type things, and so this will have all that built into it. I mean, I don't want to, you know, steal Shelley's thunder, but I think overall it's a phenomenal program that everybody should listen to what's coming down the pike, because businesses can plug into it extremely well. I think individuals will be able to plug into it very well. And this is a loaded question. When's it going to be ready?
So each action team has kind of set their own timeline. And of course, there are some restrictions and things regarding the grant funding, when it needs to be complete and things like that. But right now we're looking at complete implementation for at least the online content and the routes and itineraries by May of 2023. So it's, you know, it's going to take some time, and kind of working alongside of the action team projects, we are going to pursue separately funding to do a regional branding exercise. So, and in order to do that, or kind of as part of that, that will definitely impact what the online content looks like and what how the routes and itineraries are presented. We want to hire a firm to come in and take all that information that we've gathered through these community workshops about what's important to the community, what the community feels their identity might be, and then create something broad enough that the entire region can relate to, and then allow maybe for individual cities or towns or businesses to kind of springboard off of that branding and maybe develop their own branding that jives with it, still makes sense, is still cohesive, but they can now leverage all of what the region provides and leverage that for their own small.
Yeah. So and correct me if I'm not right, but it'd be like the creative district. We're developing our brand, but we also have to acknowledge the Arts Commission just through a logo, or the National Endowment for the Arts through a logo, because it's a bigger brand, effectively. And frankly, it gives it credibility. Right. So what this ends up doing is it gives you that bigger brand. And so I, as an individual business or part of that itinerary, can plug into the brand, but not lose my identity at the same time.
Right, on whatever level the business or town or whatever chooses to, and not mandated in any way or anything. We're not coming in and going to say, here is the logo you must use. No, not at all. We just want to help develop that messaging and the look and feel that can represent the region, but that anyone can, if they so choose, adopt at whatever level they want and be part of that.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
So in the past, when Chewelah, at least, where I've had people on the radio, and we've talked about tourism, one of the biggest roadblocks has always been where are they going to stay? Campgrounds, bed and breakfasts, hotels. Now, I know Chewelah's got the benefit of being on the receiving end of a few new hotel rooms from the casino. But what does that look like through the Tri-County area? Do you still see a problem with not enough locations for people to camp, motel rooms, that type of stuff? Or is there some other stuff happening behind the scenes in regards to that?
No, that is definitely a thing. It still is. And as part of this process, we did what's called a visitor survey, and then we also did what was called a destination scan. So basically those are just through some surveys and some data gathering to kind of come up with a picture of what some of the needs and gaps were for visitors. And interestingly, we have a very high length of stay rate compared to whatever the normal would be, because most visitors are camping. So that's that length of stay goes out 5, 6, 8 days compared to if most people were staying in traditional lodging, that would be a shorter stay. So through other data, we know that a huge chunk of visitors are camping, and but the actual lodging, the rooms, is definitely a concern, more so in Pend Oreille, and actually Pend Oreille is probably the county that has the least inventory of lodging. But yeah,
one of the things I've seen over here on the East Coast that really surprised me is, so traveling up the coast, motel rooms to me seem out of the price range for the average person. I mean, we're talking $400 to $1,000 per night for a motel room.
Holy moly!
It's really gotten ridiculous. But what popped up from those overpricing scenarios was this huge bed and breakfast community. Most of them call them bed and breakfast, but they're really just a bed. But people have advanced out from that, and I see this being very possible in Stevens County as a way for you to grow places for people, especially to camp. What people are doing are they're buying those like cathedral tents and setting them up. Let's say they got an extra 4 acres on their property. They're setting up one of those tents and they're renting them out for $100 a night.
Yeah,
which is way more affordable than a motel room. And now you've got this little cathedral style, or a yurt, or a tiny house. I stayed at a B&B because I didn't want to pay $400 a night while I was traveling, so I strictly stayed in B&Bs. And I think the most I paid was $120, and that was a beautiful 2-level attachment to these people's house. And they happened to have lake. They weren't on the lake, but they had lake access, and you were able to take advantage of that. So I'm just throwing that out there as a way for people in the community to participate in this, also make a little side income on rentals. But I think that opportunity is maybe a huge. I know we've got some B&Bs in the counties, but I think there's a lot more opportunity for that. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole short-term rental market is Bob and I, we have a Airbnb cabin that we make available, and it's been fun. It's been great. But we live in an area where those short-term rentals are there's still opportunity without creating a lot of the negative impact that these short-term rentals can have in more urban areas. Like in neighborhoods where there's parties and absentee owners that aren't keeping track of what's going on in the houses, and where there's many traditional lodging that feels that that's impacting their business. So a lot of the more urban areas have had to impose some pretty stiff regulations for these short-term rentals to prevent a lot of the negative stuff. Here, though, of course, we're a different story. There is, I believe, opportunity for even, economically, for people to provide some extra lodging and like you said, earn some extra money. So that, and then there's like Harvest Hosts is an option that a lot of people like. There's other platforms that cater just to RVers, where people can make their place available for RVers. So there is lots of opportunity there, but we have to be mindful of what would happen if everybody jumped on that train and how that might impact other businesses.
Yeah, one of the things I know, I just read an article in the Kalispell area, and that area, and of course, people are buying these homes up and then turning them into vacation rentals up in that area. And what it's effectively doing is it's driving up the price of housing, and it's driving out the
labor
lower
force.
price. So, the labor force, because they can no longer afford to stay in these places. So, and they're doing the same thing. They're going through a big regulatory thing over there where they're going to restrict that. And when I was over there, we stayed 30 miles west there on a little lake called Bitterroot Lake, and in a VRBO. And I think for the 5 days it was around $1,200, which if you divide that by 3 families, and that's handleable. And I was talking to the guy that actually owns it out of Priest River. It was brand new, and he called to want to make sure everything was fine, and which was really nice. And so we got talking, and I said, "So you've been busy?" And he goes, "Mike, I actually built this as a family cabin, and we have to reserve our own time." He goes, and in fact, next year for the month of July, I had a guy rent it for $30,000 for the entire month.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Well, he says, so that gives you an idea, at least in the summertime, what that can drive. Now that's a whole different population base, but I can see we have a lot of the same attributes as that area does.
Right.
You got Lake Roosevelt, you've got the mountains, you've got the remoteness you can get to relatively quick, and it's just a difference in population. But we got Spokane, to kind of to push that also. And just as a side note, I was talking to one of the county commissioners on the lodging tax stuff, and because we struggle getting the data for that when we apply for it, and he made a comment. I don't know where he got the data, but he made a comment that there's over 100 vacation rentals in the Waits Lake, Jump Off Joe, kind of in the south end of Stevens County.
Yeah.
And and you wouldn't know that normally.
Right, and that is
so
part of what this planning process, this strategic planning process that we went through, those are the things that we wanted to get on the radar and be ahead of, so that we don't turn into Moab, where no one can actually live there, and the workforce can't live there. And we already have, as you know, I'm sure all locals know, a definite housing shortage,
Yeah.
and so we don't want to add to that.
Well, and that's been a common theme, I know, in the Carpe stuff, was the anti-gentrification of a community, and the Creative District stuff especially. That's one of the concerns people have, is, you know, the gentrification of the community and how that drives up prices and everything else. And and my personal feeling is everybody's so well aware of that the planning is moving to stop that before it starts, I guess.
I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, that type of thing. But one of the reasons I asked Shelley to be on here is this rural tourism program has kind of been running under the radar for a while, but now it's becoming real, and more things are going to be popped up, and people are going to say, what is that? And so this kind of front runs that program. So hopefully it'll get rid of some of the misconceptions that are going to be, I will guarantee, are going to be floating out there.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing. And it's a benefit for all these counties. You know, and it's a phenomenal place to visit, and it's a phenomenal place to live.
And we want to keep it that way.
We want to keep it that way, exactly. I mean, there's something to be said to leave my house and 7 miles later, I'm literally, if I see somebody, it'd be remote, you know, that type of thing. And so I'm sure we're missing something. What else do you want to bring up?
Oh gosh, I can't think of anything. I think that was a pretty good. I mean, and if anyone ever wants to contact me, and if they have any thoughts or concerns or anything, give me a call at the TED office, TED World Headquarters up in Colville. I'm happy to chat tourism and all things related.
Right. and just to, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but Shelley runs the place.
Oh, yeah. I think my boss might be listening.
Well, if he's listening, Shelley runs the place. Without marketing, you'd be nothing. No, just kidding. But if you've ever had a chance to not had a chance to review the Real Life series, you know, you had a big hand in that, obviously, and I would encourage people to go in and look at those videos. I think there's about a half a dozen of them.
Yeah, they can visit our kind of our existing tourism website that's just sitting there waiting to be made awesome by all this improved online content. It's www.itsreal.life, and which has kind of been our tagline that we've been working with here for a while. So check that out. The videos are on there. That will link to different counties and some of their resources. Also to our trails website, northeastwashingtontrails.com, where you can go and get maps and info about trails. And I will throw out that if anyone is interested in attending what we call our New Start meetings, Northeast Washington Sustainable Tourism and Recreation Team, they're totally open to anyone with any interest in tourism and outdoor rec in particular. They're the fourth Tuesday of the month up at TED, or you can beam in. Just let me know and I can get you the meeting information. But it's like a think tank, just people coming together to talk about what's happening in tourism, recreation. It's a great place to network, and it's just a great place to learn of opportunities that are out there, and also volunteer opportunities and things too. It's a good group of people, so everyone's welcome to that.
Nice. Okay. All right. What are we missing?
I've got one last question, and I imagine maybe it's a bad question. It's probably impossible to track, like when people say, how many people listen to your radio station? You know, with limited resources and stuff. But is there any kind of guesstimate out there how many tourists come through the Tri-County area in an average summer?
Like one hard number, I don't have that for you, Scott. But I can send you the destination scan, which has a lot of different statistics about the type of travelers, maybe how far they're traveling. You know,
I would be interested in that.
Yeah, we have some of that, and you know, and like you just said, that type of data, and like Mike was alluding to for the motel tax, it's hard to get, you know, super hard numbers on that, but we definitely have information about trends and where those trends might have been a year or 2 or 5 years ago, where where they might be going, what we need to kind of be looking ahead to, that type of thing.
And the nice thing for us, I think, too, is where a lot of communities that maybe have been into tourism for a long time, they just don't have the space for it. I mean, we've probably all been to them where you go somewhere and you go to camp and you're like, wow, there's so many people, you can't even enjoy yourself.
Right.
That's one of our benefits here is we've got plenty of room.
Yes, and I will say there's, even with all the increased visitation to our public lands, in particular the Colville National Forest, there are still so many campgrounds that are lightly used and very inexpensive, if not free, out there. And so take advantage of it. We are super fortunate to have so many great assets just sitting there. And I don't know if you've seen there during COVID in particular, but even still now, there were a lot of social media posts from more over on the west side, from the Cascades area, and some of those super popular trails where the trailheads were so congested that you couldn't even get in there. It was just unbelievable, and those trails were, as they say, getting loved to death, just way too much visitation, and they're trying to steer people to other trails, and fortunately that is not happening here. I mean, there are some trails that are more popular, some activities that are more popular than others, but for the most part there's plenty to go around, and we're super lucky.
Do you have anything, and I'm going to be kind of critical here, do you have anything in the wind, speaking of the Colville National Forest, because when you go up Sand Canyon and you go in that way to the forest, you go in there a ways, there's a horse camp. I don't know if you can still make it all the way up to the lake to camp there, but several years back, and it was in a period while I was gone and came back, you used to, before the horse camp, as you drove into the Colville National Forest there was camping spots all the way through there. And then, you know, it would get, like you were talking about the parties, it would get out of hand up there sometimes. And the Forest Service came through and they bouldered the heck out of everything to really limit the amount of camp spaces and where campers could camp. And I imagine for them, especially now, it's a manpower problem if they were to open some of that back up. But there really is so many more spaces up there for beautiful camping. Do we see them being able to open that area up more than it is right now?
I can't speak exactly to that, Scott. I can certainly find out from my friends at the National Forest. I will say, though, that quite often in some of those campgrounds, there's kind of user-made campsite. You know, there's dispersed camping, which are many places on the forest where dispersed camping is totally allowed.
And they totally blocked that up there. I was very disappointed. There was a room for a lot of people, and they bouldered things off. I mean, on one stretch of the creek up there where they've got camping on both sides, but there was this whole section around the camp where you could camp, a creek where you could camp, and they totally bouldered it off. And wasn't even a place where you could go park and take a tent in or something like that. You'd have to park in somebody else's campsite, which they're not going to enjoy. So I was just hoping, there's a lot of room for expansion up there, and maybe they could find some way to do it, but it could be resources and manpower.
Yeah, it probably is, and that might just be an example of, you know, I know, a lot of ATVers like that campground. That's a very super popular campground, but there's so many others out there that are maybe even better. So,
all right. Well, thank you so much, Shelley, for being here today. You want to throw out that number one more time?
What number? My phone number?
Your number to Ted, yeah.
Ted, it's 684-4571. Ted
and your website?
The website for Ted is tricountyyedd.com. Our trails website is newashingtontrails.com, and our tourism website is itsreal.life.
All right.
Okay, and Shelley's got 6 minutes to make an appointment, a meeting.
All right, we'll let her go. Thank you so much for visiting with us today from Ted. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you. That's right, I have a 9 o'clock. I forgot.
That's right. You told me you had 9 o'clock, and I'm thinking, okay, put her in hyperdrive. Tell Frank you want that Tesla.
Yeah, right.
All right, and a big round of applause for Mike Brantz bringing in two big interviews today. Thank you, Mike, for always taking care of that for us on Wednesdays. And Michelle at Master Control. A little more applause. And then your reminder for today is that tomorrow on the radio, your KCHW morning show, we do nothing intelligent and we have no exciting interviews. It's just Three Amigos Day, which is, It's kind of like wearing a dunce cap for an hour and a half. So
That's
join
right.
me, Alan Milani, and Chuck Ritchie tomorrow for Three Amigos Day. What were you going to say, Michelle?
Said that's why I don't come.
Yeah, it's kind of painful, but we've heard there's at least 2 people out there that like it. So join us tomorrow morning at 7:20. And thanks for tuning in. We're Northern Lights Public Radio, KCHW 102.7. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.